Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the No Name Podcast. Today we're here joined by Yarumasi to talk about the latest gaming news and releases that have been out within the last 2 to 3 weeks. Hello, Yaru. How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing good.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the viewers, tell them what you like to play on a regular basis, and tell them what you've played recently?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Yarumasi. I've been a competitive gamer for many years. I've done everything from competitive first-person shooters with Halo 2, tournaments, to speedrunning, you name it. I currently make Let's Plays on my YouTube channel that have minimal commentary. You can find them at One Shot Yarumasi, and I also live stream to Twitch. My username is Yarumasi on Twitch. Pretty much everywhere you go, if it's Yarumasi, it's me. And for you, Volk, what are you all about? Just for my viewers.
Well, I am IcyVolk. That is my handle. And I go by the name of Icy Shards on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. I do video game focused content from reviews to gameplay commentary, and I occasionally give my first impressions on the latest games. Apart from that, I also live stream here and there. I don't have a set schedule for now, but I mainly stream League of Legends, which is my current most played game. The other one being World of Warcraft, which I did unsubscribe quite a while ago already, but I'm currently in Gold 5, sadly, in League of Legends, trying to climb back the ladder like the pro gamers.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
But apart from League, I've been playing a lot of two new games, one of them being Ori and the Blind Forest, a platformer that is extremely beautiful and pleasing to the ears. Soundtracks are great in that game. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it to anyone. I'm halfway into the game, and it's kind of difficult. It's not your usual platformer. You think it's an easy peasy platformer for kids, but no, it actually picks up in difficulty early on. And in the other game that I've played a lot over the past week or so is Pillars of Eternity, a Kickstarter funded game by Obsidian Entertainment. So the developers in that company actually worked on AAA titles, and they write some good dialogue for games, and you can really see how much effort and passion they've put into this new game, Pillars, which is a CRPG. It's very reminiscent of the Baldur's Gate games. I've already put in 8 hours of it, and I can't wait to play more of it. It's actually my first CRPG, and I've never actually had a real D&D session IRL, so I'm always eager to learn about really deep RPG games and board titles. So this is my very first, and I already enjoy it. But yeah, those are the two games that I've been playing a lot. I haven't had the chance to play a lot of ranked games in League because of these other two games, and I've been playing a lot of ARAM instead. Those are pretty quick. I mean, ranked can be kind of tedious and frustrating, especially when you are stuck in Elo Hell 5 ever. So,
Yeah, everybody goes through that point in their life with League. It doesn't matter how good you are.
I think I'm going to start playing more ranked again starting from tomorrow, because I do need to catch up, and I have been tilting quite hard. I went from being Gold 3 to Gold 5, and within 2 weeks. It's kind of sad. And
that's a note about me and Volk going back. I used to basically try to coach him and make him realize, oh, you're doing little mistakes here, you're doing this and that. And of course, it was always with resistance, but he climbed really hard with me. He used to be the worst kind of silver player, oh, my team is shit. Everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that. I'm like, Volk, work on yourself, man. And now he went all the way up into Gold 1, from what I remember.
That's how you climb to Platinum anyway. You focus on yourself
first, you work on yourself first.
And then when you get to the really high elo, that's when you can actually work on team play. But it's all about learning your own mistakes and improving from them, and not just playing more and more games. You have to realize what you're doing, and then you continue on from there. But apart from League, I have also been playing Majora's Mask on the 3DS, which is a lot
Yeah.
of fun. I've never played Majora's Mask before, and this one's a little bit more improved in terms of the UI with the 3 days, and the game is forgiving, is a lot more forgiving from what I've heard. The boss fights are definitely easier than the N64 version, but the game is a lot of fun, and I feel I can agree with my friend Remy that this Legend of Zelda title is probably the best out of all the titles, no matter what. It's so different in terms of its atmosphere and the storyline and how the your character is presented and all of the world is. I can't wait to finish that game. I want to see how it ends. And then I've
And
played. Oh, you wanted to say something?
yeah, I was gonna say, see, I'm on this end of the spectrum too, where I've never played Majora's Mask, but I've seen hundreds of hours of people speedrunning the game, so I know exactly what happens. And it's not like I don't want to get into the game, especially with the 3DS release. It seems like they polished it up and made it a lot more accessible, made it a lot more friendly for the user to get into. Because when you think back to the N64 era, N64 games were not like, oh, I'm picking it up and everything's working. You had to discover shit. There was no hand holding. You didn't know what to do. The UIs are usually very messy. You know, the graphics aren't very clear about what to do.
Yeah, the 3DS version actually gives you hints if you're ever stuck at a
Yeah.
certain point in the game. You can go back to the main city, and there is a little spot underneath the main clock tower where you interact with some sort of mystical stone, and you enter it to look up some hints for the game. If you just don't know where to go or where to get a specific item, they show you a little like cutscene, in-game cutscene that tells you exactly what to do. So that's very handy, especially for those people who aren't particularly hardcore
Yeah.
RPG gamers. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with the game so far, and I think it's my favorite Legend of Zelda game, no doubt. I've also been playing a lot of. I mean, I've played EVE Online here and there, but I've only logged on to, of course, queue up my skills. The game is not particularly fun, but I'm always eager to learn new stuff from that MMO. It's a beautiful MMO. I love space
It's
and spaceships.
it's one of those MMOs where you get into it and you're like, "Oh my God, this is fucking amazing. I never played anything like this." And then I play for like a month and then I'm like, "Oh, I'll take a break." And then I come back and I keep coming back. And then I tell myself, "Why do I keep coming back to this fucking game?" It's not like the game is bad and it's not like the game is like great. It's definitely it's hard to get into.
It's the presentation mostly and the UI
Yeah.
that's daunting, especially for the new player. There's a lot of information to ingest from the game, and it's definitely not your typical MMO where you create a character, level up, kill some mobs. No, it's
Yeah.
not like that at all. You have to do a lot of tutorial content before you're actually prepared for the initial phase of the game.
And this is the exact same thing that they have going with Dwarf Fortress, if you've ever heard of that game.
No.
That game is fucking deep, and that game is fucking hard. And that's why it's fairly popular. It's very fleshed out. It doesn't use a traditional graphical interface. It uses ASCII characters to represent things, like a very classic, like roguelikes used to do and such. And the problem is the modern gamer picks up this game and they look at it and they go, okay, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I do any of this? I don't like the UI. I don't like this and that. It's the same problem with Eve. It's not immediately like, hey, click here to do this. Go here. You need to do this quest. You got to figure out what's good for you. You got to figure it out on your own and look up guides and look up this and that. It's definitely not a jump into game like WoW is. WoW is extremely explanatory on everything.
Yeah, you definitely have to put in some effort if you want to succeed at Eve, and
Yeah.
it's not a casual friendly game. But the last game that I have played, as well as Outlast, which I haven't found the time to finish. And my friend Melissa, Avine Lulstime, who's also your friend, got actually forced me to play a good portion of it at her place. And game is spoopy, and it's actually the monster encounters are quite better than the ones in found in Amnesia, because in Amnesia the mobs do kind of stop chasing you after a while, and they kind of get stuck at certain places. But in Outlast, they roam and chase you down pretty effectively, and the chases are quite scary, I have to say, even scarier than the ones in Amnesia. However, storyline I find personally to be better in Amnesia, because it's kind of original. It takes place in another timeline, in another era. I don't know. I just find the Outlast story to be a little bit cliche, but it does get interesting towards the end.
Yeah, because we've seen the Hollywood movies of the insane asylum.
Yes.
You know, they're going in, you know exactly what you're getting into. It's an insane asylum. They're doing shit to people. The people don't like it, and now they're like these monstery type deals. And I did a Let's Play myself of it that I recorded, and I had it up on Twitch. I didn't get that far in. Not that I didn't like the game. The game's fine as it is. I think it's a good approach to the like the survival horror style stuff, where you have the camera and you have like you kind of have like your own sanity going on. It just you get so far in, and then you realize, well, now that the jump scare portion's over, I don't really feel like I want to play too much more. Not that I'm saying jump scares are bad, but there's not very much story to accompany the game, is what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like, okay, I'm in section 1, jump scare. I'm running from guy. Okay, next section, jump scare. Oh, I'm running from guy. Next section, I didn't ever feel like, oh, here's a very interesting section of the story where I'm like, you know, it didn't feel like the story was very alongside it.
No.
It felt like a simulator, I would say.
I think the presentation in Amnesia is top notch, but the mechanics in Outlast are more fun. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are. I would say that there are more puzzles in Amnesia, but in Outlast, it's more about reaction time and learning to follow your instincts. In Amnesia, it's more about planning where you're gonna go, how you're gonna use your oil.
Puzzles is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, those were all the games that I've played over the past month. I haven't had the chance to play other ones. I kind of want to get Hotline Miami 2, but I do feel like that's just another. It's just like the same exact game as before. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, with Hotline Miami, I know a lot about it via other people, but the soundtrack is apparently what carries the game so well, from what I've heard. People rave about that soundtrack, and I've heard the songs, and it's like, yeah, they're really good. It's a good soundtrack, and I think a good soundtrack carries a game. You have to be into the genre because, you know, it's like this overhead, you're shooting people, you're running, it's crazy. There's this music going on, and visually it's really pleasing too. Like a very neo 80s arcade look, I guess. Is that the way you would put it? Like,
Yeah.
if you've played the first game and you liked it, play the second game. You are getting a lot of the same experience.
Of course.
But that's not a bad thing, right? Like, when you get a sequel to your favorite game, you're like, ooh, I hope they didn't change too much, or like, it's very much that. You're getting what you signed up for with the first game with the second game. And
it's kind of like an expanded DLC, I guess.
You
like
could put it that way.
I don't know.
But there's enough in the game to warrant a sequel, I would say that
Of course,
much.
yeah.
It's not like every game has to be DLC. You know what I'm saying? People bitch about that too.
Especially not indie games.
Yeah, indie games, they really can't just be like, oh, here's a DLC. Go and get it. They're like, I can't warrant DLC with indie games, honestly. They're so cheap that it's like a whole other game is a DLC's price. So just make a sequel, man.
Hmm.
Just make a fucking sequel. And on my end of the spectrum, when we were talking about games we've played, I wanted to go on and kind of talk about the stuff I've been playing too. Um,
Go ahead.
and this one is going to be a little hit or miss for the audience, but I've been playing the fuck out of Battlefield 4. And of course, it comes down to the whole argument of, oh, but it's made by EA, I have to use Origin. You do. And it sucks. I don't want to support EA. I don't want to support Origin. But Battlefield 4 has been put into the state of a game where it's been patched into being a great game. If you like these kind of military shooters, it's really fun. There's nothing more fun than rolling around in a tank or a helicopter fucking people up, right?
Yeah.
And I know you can't really relate that well because you're not into the whole.
No, I'm not an FPS
You're not
gamer
into
at all.
not into FPS gamers.
I have played. I mean, I have played Halo, maybe a little bit of Counter Strike, but I don't know. I'm definitely more into the RPG scene just because I like to escape reality. So I mean, guns are guns, fun, yeah. But I want to be a fucking magician. I want to have superpowers, and I want to
Yeah.
play in a world that doesn't exist. But I mean, I'm always eager to try new games and games that I'm not a big fan of. So I mean, there's always exceptions. So I'm just
And with the
if I
shooters,
had yeah
with the shooter scene, it comes down to two things. You like arena shooters like Counter Strike,
yeah
and somewhat Halo. Halo can be both. There's big maps.
I
in it.
enjoyed Halo a lot. I've
Yeah.
played a lot of Halo 1. I
And then there's
completed it.
it comes down to, do you like military shooters, which are like the very big open maps. There's a lot of planning, a lot of teamwork, a lot of squad play, and that's what Battlefield's about for me. I know there's people out there who love to lone wolf in these kind of games, and generally speaking, if you're gonna lone wolf, you either have to be damn good at the game or you're gonna fail. Because the lone wolf is the guy that's getting picked off and bitching at his team, you know.
Mhm.
But like I play with my platoon, so we're always working together. We're always pushing objectives together, backing up our vehicles, and that's all the fun for me. You know, that's the fun of Battlefield for me. So if you played Battlefield 3, you've played Battlefield 4. That's the way to put it. But Battlefield 4 is more fleshed out. The patches have come. The game is like $10 almost all the time. So it's like, if my friends are like, "Man, should I get into this?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you want to play with me, yeah, sure, go ahead." I don't think you should get into it on your own necessarily. I think you need to. It's one of those games you want to jump in with a friend. Don't jump in on your own. It's going to be confusing, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to really skew your gameplay experience.
Well, yeah, that's my problem with FPS games. I don't actually know people that would want to play with me.
I mean,
Me, who
I'm all game. I'm game
I'm a
for it.
newbie.
I'd love
So,
to, obviously.
I need to. Speaking of FPS games, I need to play some Titanfall because I bought the game on release and I played it for maybe 2 weeks with the guildies, but then I stopped. And I really like the game. I don't know. I didn't find the time or the willpower to play some more of it, but it was really fun. I enjoyed jumping into a giant fucking robot and wrecking some kids. I don't
And
know. I
for
felt like that was a different type of FPS, like a hybrid of. I don't know. Maybe it's because of how you can utilize the giant robot and go back to being the regular little guy with the guns. I don't know.
Yeah, and on the note of Titanfall, and I need to say this now, especially to you, um, I played the Titanfall beta. I had a lot of fun with it. That game is really unique and original to me. Now, here's the thing. Right now, Titanfall Season Pass, which is all the DLCs, is completely free.
Really?
Completely free. You can go into Origin right now, and you can just search Titanfall, and it'll say Titanfall Season Pass $0. It's a limited offer. It's completely free. So if you wanted the DLC and some extra stuff for Titanfall, you'll want to get that. I got it now, even not owning the default Titanfall, because if I ever do get the game, I'll have all the DLC for free, so why not?
Uh-huh.
And I'll probably jump into Titanfall one day. I'm sure I want to explore it. I have my own criticisms of Titanfall, but I think that's a story for another
They're
time.
already making a sequel to the game already, so
Wow, really?
yeah, no DLC, just a sequel.
Wow. Wow, they're really jumping the gun with that, to be
Yeah, it's kind
honest.
of sad because I mean, I don't really
Titanfall fell
want the
off.
first one to. Yeah, I don't know if the community on in the game is actually still active. I would like to see for myself,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't feel like playing the game right now because I don't know a lot of people that are playing it.
And that's back to my point. When you don't have friends who are playing first person shooters, it's so hard to get into them. Because you can you can download Counter-Strike and have your fun for like a day or two on your own, and then you're like, well, what else do I do now? You want to play with a friend, man. You want to partner up. You want to buddy up. You want to kick ass.
Of course, and
And
you want to share that experience. Otherwise, you're just yelling at a bunch of 14-year-old kids. They're like, "Oh,
yeah,
baby, a triple."
yeah, that kind of shit.
Hmm.
And that's my end point for shooters, Battlefield, anything. Jump into it with a friend, man. Don't jump into it
Yeah.
alone. You're gonna be let down, man.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the games that we've been playing, how about we look at some of the new stuff that's been out this week and some things that are coming up. First of all, we have new cards for Hearthstone that are going to be out for next week. They're part of a new expansion called Black Rock Mountain. The cards are mostly dragon cards. I actually haven't looked up the cards and what they do, but that kind of makes me want to go back to Hearthstone and play the game. I really enjoyed it a couple months back. I did live stream the game quite a bit, and I really suck at arena mode. I don't know why, but I'm just not good at strategizing my moves in card games. I've played the Magic the Gathering card game on
Yeah.
PC. I wasn't so good at the game, but I did enjoy that too. But Hearthstone is doing. I'm really glad that Hearthstone is still pumping out content. It's a card game. It's simple, but Blizzard's always coming up with new stuff, new cards, and yeah, they're even making an esports scene out of the game. So that's cool as well. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've been playing the game
And
lately.
and here I am. I probably played Hearthstone once, okay?
Hmm.
And the thing about Hearthstone, it's not a bad game. It's a good game. I'm glad that game has a following. You know why? Because us guys who've been playing real card games like Magic the Gathering and anything like that, we haven't had any good games. I'm not going to bullshit it.
Card
I own
games, you
Magic
mean?
the Gathering, yeah, on the computer.
Yeah.
We haven't had a good representation because with Magic the Gathering, I own Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalkers, MTG 2012 and 2014, and they suck. They suck if you want to play online and play against someone. And Hearthstone came along and was like, hey, let's make this free to play card game where you can play with people all over the world and have this fun card game experience. And it's really been helping people get into them. Because card games are damn fun. They're damn fun to set up and play with your
Oh
friend.
yeah, especially with friends.
But we've never had that kind of computer game before where we can play with each other and not have a shitty, boring time. Hearthstone is really a jump in and have fun with a card game style game, you know?
Hmm.
And that's really what it comes down to. Hearthstone, it's right there. It's free. You jump in, you've got a card game. But with Magic, you have to buy the core games. You have to know which game is even good because there's so many of them.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to have friends who own the game. And then you, you just you don't have these cards right off the bat either. A lot of them you have to download, pay money. With Hearthstone, from what I understand, you can pay money for boosters and whatnot, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you can earn them on your own, which is mostly what people do.
Yeah. My only gripe with Hearthstone is that you have to play a lot more of the game
Mm.
if you don't buy booster packs. It's frustrating when you don't have the good cards and when you have to grind a bajillion games just to get a few, whatever that currency's called, to buy booster packs.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's why I haven't been playing, because I felt like I sucked for a while trying to get good cards from the arena, and because I would lose arena early on, I was getting shitty cards all the time. So I just kind of gave up at a certain point. So I mean, I'm not really good at card games anyway, but Hearthstone is definitely casual friendly, and it's for everyone, for pros or for casuals or for semi-casuals. Really,
Yeah.
anyone. Blizzard really did a good job on that title, and I'm glad they're always coming up with new cards. So yeah,
Yeah.
kudos to
Not
Blizzard
too much else to
for
say about it.
Hearthstone. Uh, Now here's another title that came out. Well, that came out, but is also coming up with the console version soon. The DLC for Dragon Age Inquisition: Jaws of Hakan is out for PC for $14.99. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't own Dragon Age Inquisition. I know a lot of people who own the game, and I am extremely jealous of them. And I might be tempted to buy the game after playing quite a lot of Pillars of Eternity. I'm kind of into having like my own personal party of characters and developing them, and I like those type of games that have a couple characters that you can control. And I really, really like expansive RPG worlds. So I might just buy Dragon Age Inquisition maybe in a couple months, or maybe once I do my tax returns. But yeah, I don't know. Have you considered buying Dragon Age?
Okay, so here's where I am with Dragon Age. If you want to get into Dragon Age, get the first game. The first game kicked ass, and that's what set it off so well. The formula for the games changed a lot, especially with the personal relations later on. And I know that's a huge selling point, especially to people like in the Tumblr crowd. Like, you can have your own character and make your partners be whatever you want them to be, and that's whatever. But with the first game, it's a huge world. There's so much story to it. There's so much going on. You definitely want to get that. The sequel was all right too, not better than the first at least, and it's a good point to start at. I think you should buy them in order. I don't think you should jump into Inquisition first necessarily.
Well, I've never played Dragon Age, but
Yeah.
I feel like Dragon Age Inquisition. I feel like it'd be all right for me to buy it and to just play the game right away without knowing the background lore, because I know that there's a lot of stuff to ingest from the Dragon Age
Yeah.
world, but
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I could still play the game and not have to worry too much about that. I mean, there are wiki pages, so it's not like I can't read all that information real quick. But
Yeah.
if I, I do feel like I would have more enjoyment out of the game if I knew about all of these intricacies of the background lore. But I don't. Then again, I don't care really. I mean, I'm always eager to learn about new stuff and new lore, new stories. So, it's whatever.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the same thing with Mass Effect, where you could jump into any Mass Effect, really. Some people are even like, hey, just play 2. And it's like, okay. But you can jump into Inquisition, of course. You can just jump right into it. Nothing's holding you back. Honestly, the story isn't going to be withheld, because what they've done is each game has its own unique story to it. It's not truly a continuation, kind of the same way Final Fantasy does it. Each game is its own thing, so jump into it. You might have fun, but you want to check out the earlier ones when you can, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So the last title that came out today actually is Axiom Verge, which I just looked up yesterday in a Giant Bomb article. It's out for the PS4. It's supposed to be Metroid type of platformer, but this Giant Bomb article actually is trying to reinforce the argument that it isn't a Metroid type game, but I mean, maybe they're paid to say that. Who knows? I feel like that's the case, but the game looks cool, and apparently there are a lot, like a buttload of weapons to choose from, and as you play the game, you get more and more, and there's like you can just play the game with the weapon that you like the most. I haven't played a lot of. I mean, I'm not a Metroidvania type of gamer. I haven't played a lot of those type of games, but I kind of want to try it once it comes out for PC. I don't have a PS Vita, so I don't care about that. But I do want to play the game on PC, and I'm always a fan of platformers. Do you think you might get it? Because it's not that expensive. I think it says on the official page that it's about $20. I don't have the page open anymore, but it's not all that expensive, and it's an indie game, so.
Yeah, so when you linked me the article about the game, I was curious because, let's face it, whoever wrote that article started off on the wrong foot. The article starts off with basically a paragraph saying, listen, it's not Metroid. Dude, it's not Metroid. When you pick up and look at the game, it's obviously Metroid inspired. It looks like Metroid. It feels like Metroid. And why is that a bad thing exactly? I don't know. That's actually a good selling point. It's a Metroidvania game. It plays like Metroid. It looks like Metroid. It looks like it's probably a really, really good game, dude. Would I buy it? I'm
Come
not
on,
an
I
indie
bet
gamer
you would
kind of
buy
guy.
it. I bet you would
If
buy
it went
it.
on, listen, if it went on sale or came in a humble bundle, dude, I'm all over that. I'll sell your game to the end of the earth. Because it's plays like Metroid.
And you're a speedrunner, so this game is definitely a speedrunner type
That
of
definitely
game.
looks like a game that someone's gonna pick up and want to speed run. There's no question about it. That's
Yeah.
a good perk of a lot of these.
Just wait for the PC version, and then you're going to see a lot of those speedrunners. But yeah, I kind of want to get the game. Like I want to be better at hardcore games. The only really hardcore platformer that I've played was on the PSP, and that was Pretty Can I Really Be the Hero, which is a spin-off of the Disgaea series, and it focuses on the little pretty guy, the penguin with the demon bats.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that game
This
is
guy is
loads of fun.
very anti-casual, I would say.
But
A lot of reviewers back off that game because of its difficulty. So, yeah.
and it's a Japanese game anyway, so I mean, Japanese games don't get as much exposure in the video game industry. I mean, the only ones getting a lot of publicity are Square Games, Nintendo ones, a few of the Atlas titles, but not all of them.
Yeah.
It's more about the Western games that are revolutionizing and I don't know, fucking, what am I trying to say here? I don't even know.
You're not going to get straight into them, basically. You have to have that sort of want and that sort of need to play such a anti-casual, I would say, kind of game. Fire Emblem is kind of that way, where it's like, it's very popular with the crowd, and casual gamers get into it, but the casual gamers aren't the ones that are actually beating it, is the problem, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I view it, and that's where I'm going to leave off at.
Yeah. Okay, well, now that we've talked about the latest, the newest games coming out and the games that we've played over the week, we're going to go over a break, and then we'll talk about our main topics for this first episode of our podcast series. See you soon.
See you soon.
And we're back with the multiplayer cast to talk about the main first topic of this week, and that is female streamers on Twitch and the whole controversy related to Sky Williams' video titled Dear Female Streamers, which has gotten so many views ever since it was uploaded. So to give you a little bit of context, if you don't know who Sky Williams is, he's a quote-unquote League of Legends comedian who streams quite frequently and who is known for his how to be a better jungler or how to not be shit at the game type videos. And so recently he put out this video, and what he was trying to say in the video is that female streamers get views for their cleavage, for their tetes, and that they're stealing viewers from the streamers, the male streamers or female streamers who deserve the attention. So people like, I don't know, Nicole-san, Christy Plays, are using their body to manipulate horny white basement dwellers to gain popularity and success. And so, unfortunately, he conveyed his message ineffectively, and that that resulted in a shitstorm. Basically, a lot of people gave him shit for what he said, and then he made a follow-up video explaining what he really was trying to say, what he really meant. He did make a mistake while trying to formulate his message, but he is right about his original message. So my opinion on the whole issue is that even though, you know, female streamers get more attention for, you know, how they look because of the viewers being most of them being male, they shouldn't have to cover up just because you know other streamers aren't getting as much attention. They should be able to wear what they want, but at the same time it does have to respect some kind of guideline. You can't just be wearing like an extremely low cut shirt just, you know, because you want to. You can't do that. If you want to be respected for who you are as a gamer, then don't do that. Just be who you are. Wear a low cut shirt if you want, but don't wear one that tries to lure people into looking at your channel and your content.
And that's where I'm at with this whole thing right now. I think that you can wear what you want, but when, you know, like 40, 60% of your stream is your webcam aiming at your chest, whether you're a guy or a girl, what the hell are you doing? It's a gaming website, man. Just focus on the gaming. You know, if you've got the allure of being pretty, you've got the allure of being pretty. No one's going to rip on you for that. But when you are browsing the Twitch directory and there's all these streamers and all of a sudden there's this girl with ginormous breasts just hanging right out as the thumbnail to your stream.
Christy Plays.
Yeah, why do you think they clicked on your stream? Because of your gaming content or your skill? No. They clicked on it because they wanted to see a pair of tits. Okay? But you should be able to wear what you want. But man, you gotta tone down the webcam size. I'll say that much. This goes for any streamer. Doesn't matter how you look, what your gimmick is, whether you have boobs or you have a gigantic dick. Move your webcam. Shrink your webcam. Dick. Make the game the focus. That's all you gotta do. That is the whole issue I have. But, like Volk has been saying, Sky Williams conveyed this terribly on YouTube. He went onto YouTube saying that, you know, these streamers, they're like soulless. They, you know, that they're trying to steal views away from the little guy. And inherently, they're not trying to steal views, but they know that they're luring people in for views. They know it. Casey Tron has admitted it. They know what they're doing. And they especially covered this topic on the live stream, which is the next point we're going to talk about.
What?
Volk. We're going to talk about the live stream. The live stream,
Conf-
Destiny, Sky Williams, Civ HD, Casey Tron.
I'm sorry, I got spaced out.
And on the topic of the live stream with Sky Williams, I luckily got to see the entirety of the stream just because I couldn't look away because it was such a train wreck, you know? So I'm tuning in and it's Destiny, Casey Tron, and Sky Williams in a Skype call, and they're having their discussion about his video. And obviously, to put it lightly, everybody's mad. Sky was relatively calm. Casey was sarcastic, condescending, and Destiny, I think everything, to sum up everything, Destiny was just an asshole. He would not stop yelling. He wouldn't let anybody get any words in at some points, and whenever he was proven wrong, whether it was by himself or by Sky, or even a point Casey Tron made, he would raise his voice to the heavens like he was fucking mad. And it was unbelievable because I understand having a civil conversation between people about this, which they were trying to do, but Destiny really derailed it with all the anger and the yelling.
Yeah, he really ruined it for me. I couldn't watch the whole thing because of just that, and I feel like this would have gone way better if maybe TB made a little podcast thing involved with those people, with those three other people. That it would have been so much cleaner, and messages would have been organized and more polished. And instead, Sky just decided to, bring some people in a Skype call and create a shitstorm with lots of viewers yelling out stupid shit
It was
and
not a
dumb
good environment.
opinions. No.
It was not a good environment. Let's put it that way, because you're in a Skype call. Sky is in a Skype call with two people who are pissed off about what he said, first of all. So it's a 2v1. Sky
And
is in trouble.
yeah, and the only reason he would do a stream instead of a podcast is, of course, exposure for himself and the other people that
And he
agreed
said
to
this,
that.
they all said this too. He said it, and I think I remember the words he used. He said, "Y'all know what you're doing when you're in here. We're all getting exposure. People get paid out of this. We making money. We getting views. You know exactly what you're doing."
But that's
We're no
wrong. They
I
should
know.
be.
They shouldn't be doing it for that reason, obviously. That was a bad idea. He's not wrong, and they all agreed on it, but boy, is it bad.
But that's being a social justice warrior on the internet, is starting up some shit just to get more exposure on the internet. That's what you do when you're trying to bring in some fame, is you talk about some controversial topic and then you get publicity. That's how you make your money. But we're talking about something kind of serious, and I don't know.
They didn't play it off very seriously as another issue. Sky tried to. I'm gonna give the dude credit when he brought them in there, and he did apologize that he didn't get his point across clearly. But they also kept backpedaling and looping his logic and repeating the same thing, and he was called out on it. Um, and for Casey, she couldn't get a lot of words in because of Destiny, which is sad. But when Casey did get her words in, here was the inherent issue, and I'm sure other people see it the same way. Casey is very condescending and very sarcastic. So when she was quoting Sky, she would completely take the quote out of context and really twist it to look terrible. And that's not fair to anybody. It's not fair in a courtroom. It's not fair in a Skype call.
Yeah,
Okay?
especially to Sky, who is a fan of hers anyway, and he felt betrayed all this time. And he already got so much shit from his video already, so I can't imagine how stressed out he must have been, even though he did, he did this stream being aware of what was going to happen. Maybe, I don't think he was aware of how bad it was going to get. And thankfully, TB intervened at the right time to, calm him down and appease Destiny. And he brought a lot of wise opinions. And I mean, he's older, significantly older, and he's got background in law, and so he knows what he's talking about. He's an actual journalist, and these people are just comedians. So I mean, kudos to TB for
No, no,
showing
no.
up.
Hold on. Let's back it up a bit. because Total Biscuit did join the call. Spoiler alert. But before that, um, many of you people would probably know who Civ HD is if you played League of Legends. He's a popular player. He's got a very popular stream. He's from somewhere in Europe. I want to say Sweden, and I apologize if I got it wrong. But he came in very classy, very, very toned down. He was on Sky's side, essentially. So this discussion became a 2v2. Um, Civ countered Destiny's nonsensical points very well. He did. He really came in with composure, and he leveled the playing field a bit, and it was good to see. And then, of course, Total Biscuit came in kind of as a mediator, and he leveled the field. He talked everybody down like, the whole issue is silly, and you know what you're doing when you do these kind of things. And he was telling Sky he really needed to convey his issue, and Destiny just not doing his part either. Casey, Total Biscuit is like the master of words. He's a wordsmith when he comes in and he talks about this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And, he just gave out a big reality check to all four people. Like, they know what they're doing. And,
Yeah, they should feel responsible as well. It's not like it's only the fault of the girls who do the cam cleavage that are at fault. I mean, of course there are going to be some people on Twitch that are going to be manipulating the system in different ways, but it's really up to every streamer to have self-respect and integrity, and to be aware and responsible of what they're doing, and to be honest and transparent about how they're presenting themselves. So women shouldn't have to make adjustments just because some people are breaking the system.
yeah.
We don't have to blame a specific group of people just because of a few people. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly. And here's another point I was thinking of. With the Casey Tron debacle and, cleavage cams, and there's a handful of popular streamers because of this thing, right? Well, if you go on Twitter, wherever else, there were lots of tweets towards Casey that were both for and against what she said. But I see a lot of girls who are so demotivated to stream because of these big titty girl streams, They're like, I don't have that. I don't have anything going for me.
But they shouldn't be. That's the issue,
and that's
too.
the problem.
They shouldn't be distracted by these people. They should be working on themselves and improving their presentation and maybe finding a certain gimmick. The people who are using their bodies for views, that's their gimmick, and it is mediocre. And they can do that if they want. I mean, it's up to Twitch to put down those people, to take their channels away from them. But in the end, it's up to every streamer to come up with an original idea, to be unique, and to maybe have certain gimmicks. The most successful way of getting exposure, I would say, is to include the community as best as you can.
And you know what? On the other side of this, before I get called some kind of woman hater, etc., mansplaining, all those words, there was another side to this topic in the past, a couple months back, that caused the Twitch terms of service to change about the cleavage cams and whatnot. And this was about Caleb Hart 42. Now, if you guys don't know who Caleb Hart 42 is, he is a Mega Man X speedrunner. He's excellent at his game. He's the top of the game. He's great. He's very positive, and he's a bodybuilder basically. And his gimmick used to be that he would do shirtless streams because the dude is ripped. Okay, the dude's ripped, and people like Casey Tron and other female streamers came along and said, "Hey, that's not fair to us. This dude can take his whole shirt off, but I can't show my cleavage. What the hell is that about?" And lo and behold, the policy change came into effect, which I think is for the better, because when you look at it, he knows exactly what he was doing to get viewers, okay? He had his shirt off, the dude's ripped. He knows exactly why some people were clicking on the thumbnail. Guys are like, oh, this dude's ripped, he's awesome. and the gay guys or girls or whoever would look at it and be like, "Ooh, he's so hot," and this and that. It's the same premise in reverse, okay? So what happens on both sides of the spectrum here is what I'm trying to say. And so really you just got to look at it with a self-respect attitude. Do people like your stream because you're good at what you do? Or do people go to your stream just because you're visually pleasing and that's it? Is that your whole gimmick? Think about it. And that's all I've got to say about the whole debacle, really. It's on both sides, and it's terrible.
On a final note, I know you wanted to talk a bit about this, specifically about this tweet
Oh,
from
yes, yes,
Ashelia. In
yes.
conclusion, women aren't represented in competitive play. We need to figure it out as a community rather than pass blame and shame. This discussion blossomed out of the original topic about female streamers. So, what's your take on that?
All right. So I wanted to tackle this issue from a competitive gaming standpoint because I have gone competitive in some games. Listen, there's women in competitive gaming, and nothing held them back. Do you want to know what holds women back from competitive gaming? Is a lack of ambition. And I hate to say it, but men are just so driven to get competitive because it's how we are. We're very, very competitive. When I played Halo 2 and got competitive at it, I was playing 8 to 16 hours a day. 8 to 16. That's my whole day. That's more than a whole day for many people who are working, right? So when you see these things being said like, oh, there's some barrier for women to get into competitive, I don't see it. I don't. If I ran a competitive team or I managed a competitive team and I had heard about this girl, we'll call him Volktron. You know, she's a popular streamer because she's good at what she does, and she's like, "Oh, I'd love to be on your team because I'm good at this game." I'd look it over and I'd be like, well, "You're good at this game. You can join my team." And that's the problem as well too, where think about how many men are playing a video game compared to women, at least at a level where they're super passionate and competitive with each other. The minority, of course, is going to be girl gamers, not because there's just this lack of ambition somewhere for girls playing these games to get competitive. If you're a girl listening to this and you want to get on a sports team, an esports team, sorry, play.
You have to be as
Play
good
like
as the
crazy,
male. Yeah.
be as good as any guy, which there's no barrier to that. You are as good as a man if you put the effort into it.
And even
You
better.
are. Yeah, you can go above and beyond. Because there's people out there. Who's that really popular StarCraft 2 female player?
I can't think of the name, but I
can't
know
either.
Hafu,
Yeah,
Hearthstone
Hafu.
streamer. I think
I
she may
couldn't
have
beat.
played StarCraft, but I'm not sure.
I can't beat either of these people, and it doesn't matter what their sex is. It's because they're great players.
I think the point here is men are just naturally more competitive, and that results in not enough women being competitive. It's just there aren't enough women
They're
to
basically
create a
dwarfed in numbers
yeah.
when
There
you
aren't
look.
enough of them to create a scene just for women players, and that kind of sucks. But that's the reality of it. And the next game on the list that is up for discussion is Pillars of Eternity, which is a brand new CRPG by Obsidian Entertainment, which, if you've heard of the company, is known for developing Fallout New Vegas and South Park The Stick of Truth, AAA titles. So, as you can expect, Pillars of Eternity is a quality game, and it is. I bought it last week. I think it's $50, worth the money. I've put in so far. I've put in 10 hours, and I'm addicted. I can't wait to play it more again today. It's not a game for streaming. Wouldn't recommend streaming it, but it's a wonderful personal experience. I've never played CRPGs before. This is actually my first. I know you have played the Baldur's Gate games. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Pillars of Eternity, it's taking place in the same style of realms as taking place in Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights. Same style gameplay, same style visuals. At its core, it's a Dungeons and Dragons style game. That's exactly how they're presenting it, and that's how it is. Uh, as far as CRPGs go, they haven't been major sellers in the past. Let's take note of that. In today's industry, people are looking to make the next blockbuster. So Pillars of Eternity obviously turned to Kickstarter to see if there's, real interest in it. And lo and behold, there was a fuckload of interest in the game. People really want this type of game back with the isometric visuals and just beautifully painted background images, and it's just amazing at its core. Like I haven't even played the game yet, but from everything I've seen and everything I've heard and just the gameplay style, I think Pillars of Eternity is bound to succeed quite a ways.
Yeah, I'm happy that I'm finally playing a CRPG, and this one is just for me because I don't know people that want to play D&D with me. I've never actually played the real D&D, the board game, and I've only played with my guildies on the PC. We did the Pathfinder tutorial, and that was fun, but I don't see myself playing the board D&D, the board game, anytime soon. Just because I don't have local friends that play D&D, and it's a very cool RPG world. It's just really hard to get into, but once you know how to build your character and once you know how to make all those D20 rolls and how to add up everything, then you've got it going on. It's all after that it's just about building the actual story and knowing how to react to specific events. But I think Pillars of Eternity is definitely friendly for people who aren't familiar with the D&D
Yeah.
genre. Yeah, I definitely cannot wait to play more of it. Now, the story of this game is so you start out traveling. You're a character. You make your own character before actually starting the game. You create your character. You add in your skill points, and you're traveling with a group and their caravans. And at a certain point, you make a stop. You're tired. You get kind of sick, but then you gather up some berries that heal you up. And after that, some weird magical storm comes up to destroy and kill most of the travelers, and then some people start invading your group, and from there you learn how to fight. You get a companion during that whole tutorial phase, and the game picks up. You have events that start triggering, and you have options to choose from. You make certain decisions as to how you want to proceed with the event, and there's this character that you can save. He either dies or you save him by reaching out your hand and blah blah blah. And so there are a lot of intricacies to the game. After the initial phase, when you meet up, when you get into the first village, you get your first companion. He's a wizard, and there are a bunch of characters that you can align with. They join your party. You can either choose to not bring them into your party, or you can have them in, and you can also create your own companion, which is very cool. You can do that at the inn of the village, and you can add in the skills you want to attribute to your companion. So you can either choose to pick up the available companions in the game, which are scattered throughout the world, or you can make your own at the villages. But I also want to talk about Pillars of Eternity because there was a little bit of a problem with the community recently.
Yeah.
Someone found out that there was there is a memorial in the game that was written by one of the backers during the Kickstarter phase of the game's development. And so what the memorial says, I'm going to read it out loud here. Here lies a Firedorn, a hero in bed. He once was alive, but now he's dead. The last woman he bedded turned out a man, and crying in shame, off a cliff he ran. And this is, this is supposed to be kind of a satire. In my view, this is a satire of homophobia within the bigoted, cruel world of Pillars of Eternity. But unfortunately, as you can expect, a lot of social justice warriors were offended by this, and in particular, this one transsexual who tweeted out, who yelled out that Obsidian should be ashamed of just letting this Kickstarter backer write this up, and that they should take it down. And so they expressed their anger on Twitter, urging the creator to modify or to simply delete this part of the game, because according to them it's insulting. But I don't know, I don't find anything really bad about it. It doesn't specifically say that it doesn't feel, the memorial doesn't feel like an insult to me. It's just more of a joke, and it's perfectly appropriate in this world. It's fiction anyway. It's not like the Kickstarter backer wrote this out of spite, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here's my take on it. The joke itself, it's just a joke about someone who went in bed with someone, and it's like, oh, they're actually a man. I'm not into this. And so the joke is that he jumped off a cliff, okay? Typical humor. Just humor. But people took this as some kind of trans-hating thing when it was just a small joke. It would be the same joke as if someone said, I don't know, if it was reversed and it was a woman in bed with another woman who was presenting themselves as a man, this issue wouldn't be here, and we've seen it in the past. It's a very sensitive topic, obviously, because some people get very worked up and very offended, but that's where it ends. People get offended, okay? To take a portion of a game out because someone's offended, it's just silly. It's a joke. It's 2015. We've had jokes for thousands of years, We poke fun at other things, whether they be taboo or normal. And that's all it is. The guy paid $500. He made a clever little quip. That's on a tombstone. Which, by the way, if you played Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, they have the same thing in all the prior games. There's a bunch of graveyards where they put jokes on the gravestones. And that's what it's always been like. They're just little jokes. This one in particular just ticked off a whole bunch of social justice warriors. And frankly, it's just a game.
I hope that they don't take this down. I don't want the developers to cave in. The last thing you want to have is players censor game creators. That would be the worst, because this is good writing. It's simple, but it's kind of, humorous. And of course you're going to have characters who aren't tolerant of gay people or transsexuals, but this is just perfectly appropriate, and it seems innocent, and it's I mean, I don't agree with what the character did, killing himself because he bedded a man. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's funny at the same time, and it's appropriate to the world of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it comes down to, you just gotta grow up and deal with these things. It's a video game, People act like that this is some kind of horrible anti-trans statement, when in reality they probably have trans people working in their own studio as it is, and they probably laughed at it too. Not to generalize that all people would approve of this, because they're not going to. But even in this article I'm reading, on the official forums, when this discussion came up, the actual backers of the game are desperately urging not to change it, while social media is the one trying to change it. Here's a reality check for people. The people who paid for the game and are playing the game, they're the ones who are going to have the ultimate say about it. It's the people on social media who A, don't like the game genre, B, don't like the game series, C, don't have the money to buy it, or D,
Are too
weren't going to
sensitive.
buy it, and yeah, E, they're too sensitive. You gotta face the reality. You don't even have the game 90% of the time with these criticisms, because I think the first tweet that even came to that news, the one by Ian Miles Cheong about the joke, was that, oh, I didn't know about this. Now I'm not going to buy this game. This has put me off from buying the game. I I don't think they were buying the game in the first place. I don't. Because if you like a video game, you like a video game. And if you can't take one joke and an entire project, a multi-million dollar project of a video game, what the hell are you playing the game for, man?
Exactly.
And that's where I'm going to leave off on that because it's just a whole silly issue.
Speaking of console games, let's talk about the notable PS4 exclusive Bloodborne, which came out about a week and a half ago, I believe, and it's gotten a lot of good reviews. It's pretty popular on Twitch. People have already finished the game. People are speed running it. There's, according to an article, there is even someone that's completed the game in 44 minutes, which I don't even know how that is even. How do you do that?
It's speed running, man. When a game comes out, people play it to death, and all of a sudden they figured out glitches and bypasses, everything. People are gonna beat this game to death, basically, and it's only gonna get quicker and quicker.
Ever since I discovered Bloodborne, I think it became my most watched game on Twitch. I've been watching so many different streamers play the game. There was a guy who played the game for 24 hours, one that played on and was dying several times but was having a lot of fun. And I'm really digging the atmosphere, the scenic, the visuals of the game, and
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of that Victorian era, and the monster designs look particularly unique, and I think this game may be the one that's going to lead me to buy a PS4 soon.
Yeah,
Once
that's
I
all.
get my tax returns, once I figure out those, I think I'm definitely going to buy a PS4. I was thinking of getting an Xbox One just because most of my friends have it, but I think I'm a Sony fanboy, and so this game is definitely gonna have me buy the high gen console. I am kind of disappointed to hear that the game runs at 30 frame rate per second. That kind of irks me. I mean, why? And PS4 and Xbox are at next gen. How would this even be allowed? Why would you release a game that runs at 30 FPS? I mean, people might say, "Oh, it's not that big of a difference. Stop, criticizing that part of the game. It's graphics. Who cares? As long as you're having fun with the game, it's okay. You can forget about that 30 FPS, but it's still half of the full 60 frame rate, which is a big difference. And because of that, I might just not buy the PS4 and wait for the PC version if that ever comes up in the next year or two.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. Next gen consoles are struggling to run games at 30 FPS. It's the sad reality of things. They just can't do it. There were some tests run on the game where it was even showing that on PS4 it was running sub 30 FPS. There were some areas where it got like 24 FPS, which is inexcusable, man. It's 2015. 30 FPS is a thing of the past where consoles were very, you know, it's inexcusable. Like me as a PC gamer, if I had to play at 30 FPS, it probably means that my computer sucks ass. But that's not the case with PC games. Even the Dark Souls, you can make it 60 FPS and it plays fine. But Bloodborne, 30 FPS, that's a big deal. And then on that note, the load times,
Oh
the
yeah.
biggest news that came out of that game. I was watching a live stream and there were times where it was about 45 seconds long
Yeah, I think
to
that's the
load.
maximum wait time for the load
Yeah,
screen, 40 to 45 seconds from 20
I
or
have
12.
never ever waited 45 seconds for anything to load. That's absolutely ridiculous. How do you do something like that and then release the game and be like, "Oh, they won't care."
The fact that the game runs at 30 FPS and that it takes a while to load just shows that the developing company might have been rushing the title for the release of the PS4. And I mean, yeah, it's I guess it's okay since the game got amazing reviews despite the graphical issues, but maybe they should have taken a little bit more time. But at the same time, if it was delayed, maybe it would have been pushed back a couple more months, which would have been excruciating, dreadful. But I don't know. I'm not a game development expert. I've never been in the video game industry, so I can't really make a definite argument about
Yeah, and I see,
this
and
problem.
there have been other very problematic launch bugs, some game-breaking ones as well. So before today, as of today, uh, there was a nasty, nasty duplication glitch. This would mean that you could dupe items at almost no cost, and players were trading pebbles for experience points and items, and the patch today finally addressed that issue. And whenever I've played an online game with duping issues, the duping issues cause such an impact in the community that it ruins like markets and any kind of stuff like that. Obviously, that's going to be a very big issue for the rest of time, but at least it's gone. And there was also another game-breaking bug. Apparently, there was a progression breaking bug that when you were summoning or invading someone's world in the Forbidden Woods, you would be unable to receive the key to progress anywhere forward from that point onwards. So, two nasty game breaking glitches finally dealt with, but this is why you have to keep your game in check before you release it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
With
that's
online games, it's a very sensitive issue to
it.
have
Just
this
shows to
happen.
say that the company was trying to rush the game and make sales just in
Now,
time for the release of PS4.
I just want to say it's not a bad game. These
It's
glitches
not.
put aside, the game looks fucking awesome. Basically, what you're getting from like a Souls style game akin to Dark Souls 1 and 2 and Demon Souls and whatnot. But I just wish people tested their game a little harder before they released it. But of course, they could have their bosses that are down their throats to get it out. I don't know. Just like you said, I'm not a game developer, but it's just very unfortunate that you wouldn't check for such. The load times thing is basically the biggest killer from what
Mhm.
I'm hearing.
On a final note, the game isn't going to have a PC version. I'm not sure if they're gonna have one in the future. Maybe if they have a petition like if they got a petition like they did for Dark Souls. But I think that Sony is just gonna not gonna release one at all because they just had the Sony just came up with a new gen console, so
Yeah,
assumingly they want to make sales and more
I,
sales.
I'll say this: give it a year, you might see it, because the exclusivity portion of it won't be a big deal. Nobody after a year is gonna finally buy a PS4. But
Yeah, and the game is already doing quite well,
yeah, the
so
game has done its sales course for the PS4, and it's probably just doing okay. So yeah, throw it on PC in a year. Sure, we'll buy it. Great.
okay, so since we haven't mentioned any Japanese games yet in today's first episode of our podcast, we can start doing that with the Legend of Zelda series, which is going to have yet another title coming up for the Wii U in 2015, supposedly, but not anymore, according to a recent article by Giant Bomb, which mentions producer Eiji Aonuma, who says that the game is no longer a number one priority in the dev team, and the game is actually going to be skipping this year's E3, which is kind of frustrating for the major Legend of Zelda fans out there. But it looks like the team wants to make sure that this title is going to be greater than all of their previous ones. And from the trailer that I've seen from last year's E3, the gameplay footage looked quite fantastic. The game world in the new title looks quite expansive. So the Zelda Wii U version might, the upcoming Wii U game for the Legend of Zelda series might be drastically better than Skyward Sword, which proved to be disappointing in terms of game exploration and some other aspects of the game. But that might not be it. Nintendo may be looking into putting their focus on other platforms like mobile gaming, and maybe they're also focused on trying to develop more and more 3DS games, since their 3DS handheld is the most popular Nintendo console right now. And the Wii U hasn't had a lot of good games lately anyway, so people might be selling their consoles at this point. They're probably tired of waiting for new exciting titles, so I don't know, man. Nintendo, you have to maybe show us some more footage of this game, or else people might just lose interest completely. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, okay. Well, when you think of a Nintendo console coming out, you're always thinking, man, what's the next Mario, Zelda, etc. title, right? So Zelda U's announced, everybody's hyped. It's supposed to be this open world game, which is a big change for Zelda in general. Unless you count the first game, but obviously that's a whole other story. But so this year, everybody was looking forward to getting a new Zelda title, which is, the premise is fucking awesome. So here we are, and to hear that they pushed it back like that, basically by a year at least, it's very devastating to someone who bought a Wii U thinking that they were going to get this.
Yeah, what else are they going to be showing at E3 if not this new Legend of Zelda game? What, another
Well,
Mario, Kirby, what?
let's look over the 12-15 release dates for Wii U that are worth the mention, of course. So obviously we have Splatoon, which is announced at E3. Splatoon looks freaking fun because it's a third-person shooter with squid girls. Like, hello? That's fucking awesome. And it's cute and it's fun, and I think everybody's excited for that too, because that's a breath of fresh air with any kind of shooter.
And it's a multiplayer game, so.
Yeah, it's multiplayer, so it could even become competitive in its own way. And then we have Yoshi's Woolly World, which love or hate the theme or the design of Yoshi games.
I feel like there aren't enough Yoshi games, so.
There's definitely not enough Yoshi games, and I've been craving a Yoshi game since, I don't know, Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. It looks like it's going to be good. Hopefully it's not like Kirby's Epic Yarn, because in that game you basically couldn't die or lose in any way, which is really stupid. But anyway, so there's another title for you. Looking down, Mario Maker. This is supposed to be a huge one. So Mario Maker is basically on your Wii U, you're going to be making classic Mario levels using all the different tile sets from the original Mario Brothers to Mario World, Super Mario Brothers 3, etc. So, and on the fly, you can switch to 3D graphics at any time, and it'll fill them in for you. So obviously that's going to be a big hitter too, because who the hell doesn't want to make a Mario level? And then there was the announcement, which is very iffy, hit or miss if it's really going to be coming out anytime soon, with Star Fox Wii U.
Oh, that's exciting.
I always like Star Fox. It's a very fun game to pick up and play. Star Fox 64 was awesome, so hopefully it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
That not too much else to say about it because I haven't seen too much of it, but if it's Star Fox, I think it's going to be good. Hopefully I don't bite my tongue on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Xenoblade
was a good
Chronicles
one. Yeah.
X is coming out.
Oh,
So this will be the sequel for that, and I heard it was extremely good.
good.
I've always wanted to play it, so sequel I would expect to follow in the same line of it and probably be pretty good.
Yep.
And then we've got Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem, which is a collaboration between Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem, obviously from the title. Not sure if you know too much about either of those games, but
I've wanted to play Fire Emblem for
yeah.
the 3DS.
So
Just
Shin
to know-
Megami Tensei, a very big Japanese title over there, akin to things like Persona. Very weird mashup, to say the least. I didn't really ever think that would ever happen, but it's happening, and well, it's probably gonna be pretty good. And sadly, that's about it for Wii U this year.
Mhm.
There's really not much else coming out. So to not have a Zelda game in the lineup was like a huge kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
At least we have Smash 4, I guess.
Mhm.
But Nintendo not having a Zelda game come out with a new console, that would be like not having Wind Waker come out for GameCube. Obviously, good game, fun game. It would be like not having the 3D Zeldas come out for the N64. Hopefully, we get this sooner than later. But I don't want them to rush it out just to appease people, also. You know, I'm not that kind of guy. If you need time for creative input and fixing things, do it, please.
I think what Nintendo really needs to create at this point is a new series that could be a hit. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same goddamn series with the same
Yeah.
kind of gameplay, nothing really new. And I mean, I kind of wish the Wii U had some games that the Xbox One or PS4 have, but I don't know at the same time. I mean, the controls are different, so I can't really. I don't think
And
that's
obviously,
realistic.
Nintendo hasn't been too fond of third parties, as we all know. Very hesitant. And usually, if a third party game does come along, you know, it's like indie games that are just chucked onto the eShop. They're not really promoted. They don't. You know, Nintendo's very, hey, this is our game. You need to buy our game kind of style. So, yeah, they need to make a new title. They need to make a new franchise, honestly, at this point. I'm not saying Zelda ran its course.
No,
I'm just saying Nintendo needs a better lineup, honestly. They need to start putting out something new. So, that's all I've got to say about the topic.
and that'll be it for today's very first episode of the multiplayer cast, featuring our friend here, Yarumasi. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no problem, man. It was interesting to say the
we
least.
had a lot of good discussion going on. Tomorrow or next time I upload a multiplayer cast episode, we will be talking about Final Fantasy 15, MMOs, League of Legends, Resident Evil Revelations 2, and YouTube and their live stream platform, which is going to be relaunching soon, apparently. But thank you guys for being here so much. Make sure to stay tuned in for next time. Follow our Twitter accounts. Mine's at IcyShards. Yarumasi's is at Yarumasi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Yarumasi will have this podcast on his own channel, I believe. Right?
No, it will be going on your channel, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you around.
Bye.